Welcome to Save the Pumpkins podcast, the Christmas edition.
Ooh.
Yeah, Christmas edition 2023. How exciting.
Yep.
A little too soon, but exciting.
It does feel really soon. We had talked about how we were going to keep the Save the Pumpkins. So for anyone that's listening and going, Save the Pumpkins? Oh, pumpkins at Christmas. Well, this will be Christmas and fall. And like if there's Thanksgiving movies, which there are sometimes.
Right. Well, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm still in the fall mood, but
Very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cold enough outside for me. It's not, I mean, even though the stores and advertisements are shoving it down your throat that it's the Christmas season, I'm so focused on Thanksgiving right now that,
Oh, yeah. 100%. I did it again. I did the 100% thing. Ever since that movie, I'm never going to be able to say that. 100%. It sounds like a bedazzled Brendan Fraser. Oh, you got to give 100%, 110%. Isn't that what he said?
So what focus are we putting on? What movie is our first official Christmas season movie?
Oh, man. Maybe I didn't pick such a great one.
No, I think it's okay.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We are going back a little bit in time. We're trying to stay recent, with movies. But we're going to go a little bit back in time with 2021's Boyfriends of Christmas Past. Do you know who it's starring, or do you want me to read it out? You got it?
Well, go ahead and say who it stars, and then I'll give my little input on that.
Okay. It's Raymond Ablack. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I believe I am. As Nate, and Catherine Haena Kim as Lauren. This one, before we go anywhere, I always like to mention the directors because I think the directing portion of this stuff is fascinating the way Hallmark does it. This one is directed by Don McBrearty. This dude's been directing since 1980. Since 2020, he has directed, why don't you guess how many Hallmark films? That's not even 3 years. How many do you think just Don what's his name?
I'm going to say 63.
Don McBrearty. Just him. How many has he done?
63.
No, come on, honey. In 3 years, nobody directs 63. You can't.
Oh, well, you
ridiculous.
made it seem like it was going to be such a high number.
It is. You just went ridiculous. Just Don McBrearty, if I'm
25.
saying 25. He's dated. Oh my gosh. He's directed 9 Hallmark films in the span of 3 years.
Are you saying that's a lot or no?
I don't even. I feel like I'm just.
Because I don't think that's a lot.
Okay, so let me put it in.
For 3 years.
3 years, he is averaging 3 movies a year as a director. It's not unheard of. It's just, I want you to take him and pretend that Hallmark has, because they do, another 10, 15 directors that do the same thing for them. I keep repeating it and I feel like an idiot, but I want you to just be impressed. That is crazy, their machine.
I guess my way of thinking is
right?
that if each of these Hallmark movies that we watch literally have 3 scenes or different scenes that these characters or actors visit in one movie,
yeah,
I don't feel like that and the movies are on average about an hour and 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
124 minutes. I mean,
a director that's directing these types of movies should be able to scoot to the next one.
I'm agreeing with you. You're right about that. These are, for the most part, cookie cutter. That there's a blueprint that we've talked about this ad nauseum. What I'm saying to you is, I just want you to. I feel like you haven't recognized it, and I have. I keep repeating it.
I guess I don't go that deep. I don't go that deep into the movie.
Martin Scorsese will average a movie every few years. I understand these directors might not be Martin Scorsese, but they're making films that make money, that make a good amount of money for Hallmark.
Okay, well, I don't
9
tend to
movies
research the behind the scenes.
Years. Well, okay, but I'm adding a little context to each one so that you can just know. Yeah, okay.
So going back to the actor and actress.
Okay.
So I know Raymond, and anybody else who's listening that is familiar with the series that
Raymond,
hopefully we're getting.
Your first name basis, Raymond. You know Raymond? Keep going.
So hopefully coming out with a new season soon is he's from he plays Joe in Ginny and Georgia.
Oh.
And I follow that series, and so I really
the girl with the politician, the lady that married the politician, and just got
Right.
like a kid, and then
Right.
The kid is
And
with
so
Jenny
I
McGill.
like his character in Ginny and Georgia, so I was excited about seeing what he was going to do for this film. And then also Catherine, who plays Lauren,
Yeah.
I just recently finished the series with that starred Damon Damon Johnson, aka The Rock.
No, Damon Johnson.
No,
No, it's
Dwayne.
no, it's Damon.
No,
Keep going.
did I say Damon?
You said Damon.
I'm sorry.
It's
Dwayne The Rock
Yeah.
Johnson, Ballers. She
Ballers,
was in
okay.
Ballers.
Oh, I didn't know she was in that. That's
She was in
pretty
a few episodes. So she
cool.
was
All right. So she was just somebody that was coming along to do a thing.
she was good, huh?
She was just coming along to do a couple episodes then.
Yeah.
Whenever I look up these actors on IMDb, I always look them up. And then if they were in one episode, it's barely worth mentioning. You try to look up people that are, we're going to get to it with one of the actors in the actual first movie we watched. So a little behind the scenes. This was the second movie that we watched this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Boyfriends of Christmas Past. And you can kind of already tell by the title, segue. You can kind of tell by the title what kind of movie we're looking at and what's that going to be.
Yeah, so do you just want to start us at like a little brief?
Yeah, but like if I tell you the movie is called Boyfriends of Christmas Past, what are they going to do?
Well, right away I think of the Matthew McConaughey. Movie, Girlfriends.
Only you would say that you think of the Matthew McConaughey and not Dickens, right?
I know it's always
the
coming
Christmas
off.
Carol.
Yeah, you can't have a year without a few of the.
Everybody's got a take on it, whether
Right.
it's Scrooged, etc. In the Hollywood world, which was a great movie, or one that we haven't uploaded, or I haven't uploaded, I should say, Ghost of Christmas Always, which was amazing, was fantastic, that we loved, which I wasn't expecting because I was just expecting kind of what we got here. Nothing offensive, but they took zero. Okay, let's just get into it. So what's this? Do you want to tell us about? You want me to start it?
So basically,
we're gonna keep this. By the way, I'm sorry. We're gonna keep this one. I always start out these by saying, we're going to spoil movies, so whatever. No, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're gonna just talk about it generically, a little bit about who the characters are, but we're not gonna spoil what happens at any point. I'm not. I mean, I guess you could if you want to, but that's our format going forward. I don't want people to listen to it to cut it off because they haven't watched the movie yet. So we're gonna talk about it very generically. I'm sorry. Go ahead, honey.
So Lauren and Nate are friends from forever. They've just been friends.
Best friends. They know each other really well, right?
For a really long time. And she is, I guess, keeps him on the best friend wagon.
Friend zone, yeah, for sure.
That just doesn't really think of him as anything more than a best friend. And she is professional in a marketing agency, and he is
the most common Hallmark job for any businesswoman. If you're a businesswoman and you're in a Hallmark movie, you probably work in marketing. It's true. And
he is runs a like a teen shelter.
Like a shelter, yeah.
And we learned that he did that because he was an orphan at a young age.
Yep, I had actually forgotten that. Good.
And she comes from a background of her dad remarrying because we are led.
They keep it mysterious. And I guess this would be something we would spoil. They keep it mysterious as to what happened with her mother.
Other than she left right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas, yeah.
Like left her and her dad.
Yeah.
But her dad since remarried, and she seems to get along well with her stepmom.
Calls her by her first name, so she's never gone into the mom territory. I always find that really interesting when they have these movies, whether the stepchild is going to say mom or what's her name? They're Korean, so it's a Korean name, and I can't remember what it is. Find out in 2 seconds. But go ahead. Sorry.
And so she is struggling with, her place in life and, where her relationships and, being lonely.
Young. Her name is Young. Susan Hansen plays. Her name is Young Kim, the new wife. the dad's wife. Her name is Young. She kept calling her. She would say Young. Actually, I really like that. To mention the Korean thing, I always interrupt you. I'm sorry. I really like it when they do them. What was the one we watched last year? The Golden Dragon, Christmas at the Golden Dragon, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it when they, and I didn't bring that up because it was Asians. I brought that up because I love it when these Hallmark movies bring in other cultures and do their little, their the things that are important to them culturally at Christmas or whatever, the time of year they celebrate, whether it's Hanukkah or what have you. I always think it's really interesting, and we got to see just a little brief bit of that, but I kind of wish they'd shown a little more. That was kind of neat. Little peek into Korean culture. Actually, when her dad and Young came on the scene, I didn't think they were going to tell us what their nationality was, because I think it's sometimes, in the 2023 climate, you're a little afraid to say the wrong thing. But I'm really glad that they said it, that they were, at one point, Lauren says, we're Korean, so, or something like that, right? It was that was part of a joke she was cracking to Nate, I think. And it was really cool. I just like that they bring it up. I'm like, oh, okay. So then they talked about a little bit of the little traditions they had or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I always think that stuff's kind of neat. I know some people might not like it. They think of Christmas as their, what you see in Coca-Cola ads or whatever with bears and 1950s old cars and things. And that's cool too. I like that stuff too. But I like it when they bring a little bit of a culture of something I'm just not familiar with. That's just cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so you kind of get a little bit of an impression that his feelings towards her are still alive. Like he hasn't necessarily.
Are you talking about Nate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't necessarily just remained or wanting to remain like a best friend. So because he doesn't have, any family, they usually spend the holidays together because they make comments about how he enjoys something that her stepmom makes or he's supposed to bring. So we're getting close to the Christmas holiday, and
she's completely blind. Like there's no way you can't see how much he cares about her,
right,
and how well they work. At one point I was like, is something wrong with you? Like, are we going to find out that you've had brain damage at some point? There's no way you don't know this dude who nearly confesses to her at the very beginning of the movie when they're walking on the little subway thing or whatever. He nearly confesses to her how much he loves her and cares about her. It's like, it's so obvious. It's like, dude, you guys.
Well, she's got work going on. We find that she's having to present a big marketing brand for something.
Like a baking sheet. A baking sheet.
For cookware.
But,
bakeware.
But she keeps holding the muffin sheet. Like, that's her muse.
And so she's struggling with that. And I misspoke. He's actually a social worker who is concentrating on building a community center.
I think you were on. Yeah, I think you were spot
on. So anyway, we now come to, she goes back to her place and goes to sleep over her work because she's, starting to research for her
big pitch.
Yeah, pitch. Yeah. Thank you. And she is welcomed by the first ghost.
Yeah, Tyler.
Who is her high school boyfriend. Yeah. And he has remained as a high schooler kid. And she's freaked out. And
as you would be. Maybe not freaked out enough. I would have.
Throwing pillows at him. What are you doing here? And he's like, you don't remember who I am.
Bro, you don't. Yeah, he's doing the skater dude. Yeah, thing is.
And so he says,
I would have expected that interaction to be a little bit different, by the way, but it wasn't. So whatever.
Yeah, he wasn't a very big. He wasn't a very big thing to me, I guess you can say.
No, he's just like the ambassador of the ghosts or whatever.
Right. So he just basically tells her that she's going to be visited by 3 more ghosts, and that, he says, you don't remember me. We used to date, and what did she say was the reason why they didn't work out? She left because she graduated high school, and then that was it.
Yeah, they keep it vague as to what actually happened. No, that's not true. You get to see what happened in a couple of them, but the thing they stress is that her fear of commitment, her, around Christmas time, she's got to bounce. She can't be with someone whenever that person wants to get serious.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so he's kind of forgettable.
Yeah, like I said, he's the ambassador. He's the Jacob Marley. He's the one that's going to come and tell you about the appearance of the ghost. He's not which is weird, right? Because he is a boyfriend, and Marley wasn't Marley was something that was just bad in Ebenezer's life, but whatever. He's the ambassador, and I agree with you. No offense to the actor. I didn't even look his name up. It's no point. And I didn't look his name up because he was completely unimportant. Like, it was just nothing. I forgot about him the second he left the screen. You're right.
So, so then basically throughout the course of the movie, she's visited then by the three boyfriends whose names are Jake, Henry, and Logan.
Yeah.
And the first one, Jake.
Ooh, you are going to tell a little bit more about it. I was willing to duck out.
No, go ahead. I'll just say Jake.
No, what are you talking
was
about?
college.
You're ready to rock and roll. Do your thing. I'm just telling you.
Jake was college, and she actually dated him for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Was
this is the guitar guy.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the college.
The guy that looks a little like Nate Bargatze.
Because I noticed that she dated each of them for a really long time.
The one guy was like 2-3 years. Yeah, it was a while. It was a couple of years, I think. Yeah, but you're right. She dates him for a little while, and then they inevitably want to get serious. I don't think she ever breaks anything up. They just all go. The first guy, what was his name?
Jake.
I want you to come meet my mom, I think is what his deal was, and she was like, "Oh no, that's too serious."
Right.
The second guy was the businessy type guy that was like, "I want you to move in with me," and she was like, "No, that can't happen." Broke up with him at the ice skating rink or whatever, and tried to skate away from him. And the last one, he literally wanted her to marry him, and she was like, "No, sorry," and that kind of thing. Very weird. They play all three of the guys since you're talking about them, they play all three of the guys very differently. You get to see that she is attracted to different kinds of men. These three men are nothing alike. Not at all.
They're nothing alike, but they all have one similar thing about them. Do you remember?
Oh, no. What was it?
That every time she ran away from them or had something she wanted to say or share, she had remained friends with Nick.
Nate.
And so
not Nick. Nate.
she went to Nick.
Nick. Let's just be honest at this point. As long as you're close, honey, I feel like we have a victory. You just get close.
No, I feel like
Nigel.
around Christmas time because it's St. Nicholas, Santa Claus,
Nick,
everybody's
Nigel,
named Nick. So
Nate, Nolan. That's all.
My apologies, Nate. Everybody knew where I was going with that.
You know the guy's name from your show, but can't remember Nate.
But anyway, so the commonality in this is that with each boyfriend that came to visit her, she somehow turned it so that she called him or
of course
went to Nate. And the first boyfriend, Jake, he references that. Like he says,
I didn't remember that.
Like, so who you calling or where you going? You're calling,
he knows.
Nate.
Yeah.
And the other two, he just was there because she had gotten older. She had graduated college. She had moved on. He had a girlfriend, I think, with one person that came to visit the one in the apartment, the business guy. He had brought a date with him, remember? They were hosting the holidays, and he came, and he had somebody with him when they opened the door.
Nate did, you mean?
Nate?
Yeah, Nate did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they all had gone
Nate
on
briefly mentions earlier in the movie, she says, well, you know how it was when you broke up with Tamara or whatever her name was? And he's like, yeah, and we get to see her at that party. Total throwaway moment that you just get to see that Nate, Nick, Nolan, whatever you want to call him, he's had someone else. Yeah, I get you. But they smartly didn't play her as a big role because she doesn't matter. He's always wanted to be with Lauren, right? I just thought it was interesting. That's why I brought it up. I thought it was interesting that she's had different kinds of guys. She's not falling for the same guy. Well, there's an outdoorsy guy, a businessy guy, a musician type guy, a skater guy. Like, she's been all over the map. I don't really know what the significance of that was other than to show that the problem has never been the guys. It's always been her.
Right.
But I mean, okay.
Well, okay. So while this is happening with her, when they bring you back to reality, it's
spaced out. It's not like, it was a big deal in Christmas Carol. The spirits did it all in one night. Well, they can do that, can't they? Right? That was Scrooge's deal, right? This is over like 4 or 5 days, and she keeps telling Nick about each dream, quote
Right.
unquote.
Well, and so when we're not in the dream sequence and we're, in reality, she's moving on with trying to find her pitch for the bakeware, cookware. She's struggling a little bit. But because Nate is doing like holiday things at the community center, one of them was a toy drive. And a lady who was in one of the other movies that we had talked about that you are forever fixated on.
Oh, what? I missed someone?
The lady who played the sister nurse in the one that you talk about all the time.
Oh, no, yeah.
What's the movie?
Oh, Home for Harvest.
Home for Harvest.
That's a piece of garbage.
So we were introduced to this actress
I
again.
still like it. Sort of.
And she brings
She's
a
good.
toy. Huh?
She's good.
Yeah. She brings
fine.
a toy to the toy drive, and there seems to be a little bit of chemistry between her
Mm-hmm.
and Nate. And, you see they pan over to Lauren, and she kind of like is looking, you can tell like, what's this going on? And so there is a little bit of a progression with his interaction with that lady.
Yep, the actress's name is Alice Crocker. She plays Lily. Lily is is her name in the thing. Yeah.
So as the dreams are happening, she's also being warned, I guess, that they're all kind of implying to her that she never was completely with them because her feelings for Nate never really went away, or they were growing. And if she doesn't do anything about it, she's going to lose out on Nate.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what they want her to learn. Yeah.
yeah. And so, it was always Nate. It was always going to be Nate. And so was it really that she was mimicking her mom, which is what I think she was afraid of because she always ran away, especially around the holidays.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Was it that, or was it that she just subconsciously, longed to be with Nate?
Well, I think she only longed to be with him so much if she couldn't commit. I think she probably did know she needed to be with him, but couldn't commit because she was frightened of. She had firsthand experience with someone that abandons their family. Yeah.
Well, so in speaking about this movie, I think that the actors did a good job, given what they had to represent. Wasn't a favorite. I was a little bit disappointed because, my Nate / Joe from Ginny and Georgia.
He's good.
I
He was
really
good in
like
this.
him.
He's good in this.
Yeah, I think he's handsome. I think he was very well dressed.
Yeah.
I think she's very pretty.
Another one of those good dressers that you like.
Yeah,
the
that just
Tyler
that I
Haynes
think
from
that
yeah.
speaks volumes. And but it was okay. I guess because I keep relating it to the Matthew McConaughey Ghosts of
Sure.
Girlfriends of Christmas Ghost. What is it?
I have no idea. Sorry.
Ghost of Girlfriends Past.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
I don't know.
Well, it's probably not as good as that.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, that's all. That's a Hollywood production. Strangely enough, which has a Hallmark connection. What actress is in that one? Come on, she's about to get married. Alicia Chabert's in it, right? Yeah, she is. I'm not crazy. I don't know that movie very well, but I know she's in it.
Oh yeah.
She's
Okay,
about to get married.
yeah,
There's some scene where they drive down in a car like off a little snow thing or whatever. She's trying to yeah.
I mean, I don't think that this movie was necessarily cheesy. I think that the writing and everything like that was fine. It definitely is not like one of the cheesier ones we've seen. But it just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, there were a couple of spots in it where I was like, wow, that is I've seen better acting, and this is going to sound like a slight, but I don't mean it that way. There were a couple of spots in it where I was like, wow, I've seen better acting in high school plays. Like, that's really terrible. Not the leads. The leads were very good. Very good. In fact, she's beautiful. You're right. He's a handsome guy. We talked about that a little bit in one of the movies the other night about how it's funny. You brought it up yet again, bringing up the physical. You got to have some attractive people, or it won't work for you personally. And I agree for the most part. I don't necessarily have to be attracted to the lead, but I think if there's something distracting about them, I think it's not a looks shaming thing. It's just I don't know. This is fantasy land, right?
Yeah. I just
it
think
was okay. It was okay. I agree with you. It was okay. I didn't hate it for sure.
well, just given that it's trying to mimic the Scrooge Christmas
I thought that was
Carol
tired. They didn't need to do that, but I like the actresses. There's no standout in it, but there was nothing that stood out for me to remember it other than the leads, which again were really good. And there was also no standout terrible. Nothing stood out, and that's kind of the
there was
problem.
nothing about a scene that happened that was like or anything like that. So
Sweet in Sweet, there's no spoiler to let you know what happens. The guy, what's his name? What's his name? Ablack?
Raymond.
No, Nate, the actor that plays Nate.
Raymond.
Raymond Ablack. Yeah, he has a good little moment where they let him act at the end when he's upset with her. And that was a good little scene. That was a good little scene. Like, that was a good little scene, like an old person. That was a good scene, the two of them having to deal with, I'm just tired of you not respecting me, and I'm in love with you, and I don't really want to hear you even say anything back to me. It's good. It was a good little emotional moment, and that was about the only deviation they did in the movie where I was like, oh, you let him out, okay, and there it went. Because now we're back to you doing the Scrooge thing, and it's like, okay.
I honestly think that if they remained best friends throughout the whole movie and that was it, I think I like them better as best friends.
The minute it started, I was like, girl, he's so ridiculously obviously into you. Do you hate him? Because if you don't, you should, and you think he's attractive and you love him and you think he's wonderful, this is like, there's not even being hidden from you.
I mean, I thought their relationship was...
Yeah. It was fine. Unless you have something else to talk about, and we'll just do our ratings.
Yeah, I'd say that this was probably for me like a 3.7.
You give some really high ratings to be things that you don't see. I consider that to be a pretty high rating. I was going to say
on a scale of 5?
Yeah, I was going to say like 3.4, 3.5. Because I'm trying to remember the other ones.
Well,
do you do that where you try to remember what you gave the previous one, so you make sure you don't give this one higher than that?
No,
if you
I
liked
just
it
do
more?
what I do.
That's Nick, Nolan.
But because I like them as actors and actresses, that's probably what gave me, if you're thinking it's a little bit of a higher rating, because it's like I take that into what I'm seeing, like Jimmy
nothing wrong
George.
With it. I'm not going to rewatch it. I don't have any desire to see it again.
No, been there,
it doesn't go on that list, but it's not offensive. We're going to get there.
Yeah, we will.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Well, please do watch it and let us know. Tell us if maybe we were being too hard here or there, or if you disagree, or if you can relate to us in any way. And just remember to do something that makes you happy today.